Imagine this. You wake up to the sound of rats chewing on your boots. Not the little kind. These rats are the size of house cats, fat from feeding on corpses. They don't run when you move. They stare. You swat one off and sit up. Your back aches. Your hands are numb. The mud is everywhere, in your socks, under your fingernails, in your mouth. You're not in a bed. You're in a trench. And this isn't sleep. This is survival. The stench hits you first. Rotting flesh. Sweat. Chlorine gas soaked into the wooden planks. It clings to your skin like a curse. The floor is ankle-deep sludge. A mixture of rain, blood, and latrine runoff. You gave up keeping your feet dry weeks ago. Now you just hope they don't turn black and fall off. You've seen it happen. Trench foot. It starts with numb toes, then swelling, then decay. If you're lucky, the medic cuts it off in time. If not, your uniform hasn't been clean in months. The lice in your seams bite constantly. You scratch until you bleed. You laugh about it with the others, because the only other option is crying. Breakfast is a hard biscuit, sometimes moldy, sometimes full of weevils. You eat it anyway, because you're starving. You always are. You check your rifle. Lee Enfield. Mud-caked, barrel slightly warped, but it's all you've got. You clean it with spit and cloth, because if it jams during the next attack, you're dead. Your bayonet rattles on your hip, a dull piece of steel that turns men into meat. You've used it before, too close to forget, too far from forgiveness. Shells start falling at 6 a.m. The earth shakes. Your eardrums pop. The sky disappears in smoke and thunder. You hug the trench wall, dig your nails into the dirt, pray your name's not on the next one. Someone down the line screams. You don't move, not because you don't care, but because there's nothing left to feel. Orders come through. Prepare for advance. You and 100 others will climb over the top. Rush across no man's land. Try to reach the enemy trench. You've done this before. Half of those who went with you last time didn't come back. The other half, well, they didn't come back whole. You write a letter before the whistle. To your mother, your sweetheart. No poetry, just truths. I'm alive. I don't know for how long. Tell father I'm doing my duty. Tell Annie, I'm sorry. You fold it. Slide it into your coat. Maybe someone will find it. Maybe not. The whistle blows. You climb the ladder. Your legs are shaking. Your heart's beating like a drum in your throat. The moment your head clears the trench, you run. No man's land is death made visible. Barbed wire, crater holes, shattered trees like blackened bones, and bodies. So many bodies. Some fresh, some missing parts, some staring at nothing. You hear the machine gun before you see it. A sound like paper ripping. Your friend beside you drops, throat gone. You keep running, not because you're brave, but because stopping means dying slower. Mortars explode. Dirt rains down. You dive behind a chunk of concrete. Take a breath, then push forward again. A bullet grazes your helmet. Another rips through your shoulder. You fall. Your mouth fills with mud. Your blood is warm. Your scream is silent, but you're still breathing. You crawl, inch by inch, toward a shell hole, toward safety, toward a medic who might not be there. You black out. When you wake up, you're in the aid station, if you can call it that. It's a dugout lit by candles, flies everywhere, blood soaked into every inch of cloth. The medic looks tired. He sews you up without morphine. You scream. He doesn't blink. He's seen worse. So have you. You spend a week off the front line. You don't rest. You relive everything. In dreams, in shivers, in silence. And then they send you back, because that's the war. You fight. You bleed. You go back until you're dead. You meet new recruits, fresh-faced, clean uniforms, smelling of soap and courage. You don't hate them. You envy them. They still believe there's honor in this. They don't know yet about the rats, the lice, the gas, the fear that chews your mind worse than any bullet. You stop talking to them because they'll be dead in a week and you can't afford another ghost. Then comes the gas attack. You hear the hissing, like a snake crawling over the mud. You grab your mask, fumble with the straps, your lungs already burning. Men around you scream, claw at their throats, their eyes. You see one man drown standing up, his lungs filled with acid air, his blood bubbling out of his nose. You hold your mask tight, pray it seals, pray it works. This isn't battle, this is murder. And then one day, a miracle. They say the war might be ending, that an armistice is coming. You don't cheer, you don't believe it, because how do you end something like this? How do you stop hell? But then, the guns go silent. No shell fire, no machine guns, just wind and birds. You haven't heard birds in years. You walk out of the trench, not like a soldier, like a ghost, mud-caked. Eyes hollow, soul gone. You see the sun again, but it doesn't feel warm, because you're not the same man. You left that version of you buried in no man's land, alongside friends and enemies. And the parts of you that used to dream, they ship you home, with a medal, and a limp, and a silence no one understands. People ask what it was like. You don't answer. Because how do you describe it? How do you explain the 1,000-yard stare? The smell that never leaves your nose? The nightmares that wait behind every blink? You can't. So you sit, you nod, and you try to live. But in truth, you never left the trench. Not really. Because your life as a trench soldier in World War I, it wasn't glory, it wasn't patriotism, it wasn't heroism. It was mud and blood and madness. It was watching the world end, one shell at a time, and knowing you survived. Not because you were strong, but because death was busy that day. That's what you tell yourself. Not that you were brave, not that you deserved it, just that you were missed. You look at the uniform they let you keep. Still stained, still torn. You're supposed to be proud of it, but it feels like wearing a skin that isn't yours anymore. They give you a pension, a small one, enough to eat if you skip some meals, enough to sleep if you don't mind the cold. Some days you sit by the fire, not for warmth, but because the crackle reminds you of machine gun fire. It's a cruel comfort, familiar, like an old enemy who never really left. You try to go back to your old job, but your hands shake too much. Your boss offers polite smiles, empty ones. You can feel it behind his eyes. He sees a broken man, not a useful one. So you leave. You walk the streets, watch people rush by. They complain about weather, about politics, about the price of bread. You want to scream, tell them what real problems feel like. But what's the point? They didn't hear the screaming in the dark. They didn't dig graves with their hands. They didn't watch boys become bodies. So you keep walking. At night, the war returns. Not in dreams, in flashes. You close your eyes and see the trench, feel the damp walls, smell the blood. You wake up clawing at your blanket, thinking it's barbed wire, thinking you're stuck, dying. You gasp, sweat dripping, heart racing. You stare at the ceiling, try to remember where you are, when you are, because time doesn't move for you anymore. It's stuck, somewhere between the whistle and the bullet. People call you a hero, they pat your back, raise drinks to you at the local pub, but their eyes wander when you talk too long, when your stories turn too real. They want the version of war in songs, not the one that crawled inside your head and never left. So you stop talking. You sit in the corner, alone. A ghost, no one wants to exercise. Your family tries to understand. They try hard. Your mother keeps saying, "You're home now," as if your body being back means your mind is too. Your sister asks why you flinch when she drops a plate. You don't answer. You just smile. Small, tired, the same way you smiled when you pulled your best friend's body into cover and pretended he might still live. You walk into the church some Sundays, not for God, but for silence. It's the only place the echoes stop. You don't kneel, you don't pray, you just sit. Let the stained glass light wash over you and wonder, where was God in no man's land? You try dating a girl named Elsie. She has bright eyes, a soft voice, she laughs too easily, and when she touches your hand, you flinch. You don't mean to, but you do. And when she asks about the war, you lie. Say you were lucky, say you were mostly in supply lines. She nods, smiles. She doesn't know the difference between luck and living through hell. You go to veterans meetings, rooms full of men just like you. They all say the same thing, "I'm fine." They're not. Some shake, some drink, some cry when no one's watching. But here, you don't have to lie. You sit, you listen. You nod when another man says, "I can still hear them," because so can you. Years pass, you get older, the world moves on. The newspapers stop writing about the war. The kids in the street play soldier like it's a game. They don't know. History books call it the Great War, a name far too elegant for something so vile. You keep the medals in a box, not on display. You don't want them to shine. Let them rust, like everything else the war touched. You visit the graves, rows of white stones, endless, clean, too clean. You whisper the names, not all of them, just the ones you remember. Tom, Langley, MacArthur. Even the German kid who screamed for his mother as he bled out in the shell hole beside you. You place your hand on the stone, say nothing, because what could you say that hasn't already been buried? They build a monument in the town square, granite, polished, tall, your name's on it. You don't attend the ceremony. Instead, you sit at the back of the crowd, watch the mayor read words he didn't write, watch children lay flowers they don't understand, watch everyone clap, as if war was a play and you were the curtain call. Sometimes, at night you drink, not to forget, but to remember, on your own terms. You pour a glass, stare out the window, and say their names again, the ones who didn't come back, the ones who did, but left something behind. You wonder what your name would be if the bullet hadn't missed, if you'd never come back. Would someone else be telling your story? Would they tell the truth? Decades later, the world goes to war again. You read the headlines, see the uniforms, hear the speeches, different flags, same lies. You watch the young boys march down the street, chins high, hearts full, and you say a prayer for them, not for victory, but for survival. Because you know, victory is just the name people give to the side that buries fewer sons. One night you open the old trunk, the one you haven't touched in years. Inside, your helmet. Bent, your uniform, stiff. A photograph. 5 boys, smiling in mud. You touch their faces. All gone now. But here, frozen, alive, you sit back and let yourself cry. Not like a soldier, like a man. Because at last, you understand, you didn't survive the war. You carried it, every day, every step, every breath. When your time comes, it's quiet. No whistles, no shells, just the soft hum of a hospital room, a nurse reading the newspaper, a bird outside the window. Your last thought isn't of death, it's of a friend's voice, singing a dirty song during a lull in the shelling. His laugh, so loud, so stupid, so alive. You smile, and then you're gone. They bury you with honors, fold the flag, play the bugle. A few people attend. Some cry, some don't know why they're crying. You're just another name now, another stone, another line in the book. But for a moment, someone reads your story. Someone says your name, and somewhere beneath the silence of history, the trench echoes again, not with screams, not with gunfire, but with memory. Because that was your life as a trench soldier in World War I. Not a tale of heroes, not a song of glory, just mud and blood, and the quiet kind of courage no one ever writes songs about.